Well, a big Texas howdy and welcome to Swingin' Country. I am your host, Billy Bowles, and stick with me for the next 2 hours. A whole lot of great stuff to bring you today. And I want to say up front, get a pen and paper ready. Because there's new information, new events, there's things always happening. It just pays to have pen and paper ready to jot down any notes that would grab your interest. So I want you to do that right now. We just heard from Cowboy Joe Babcock and Trail Jazz with The Lord Loves Western Swing, and I believe he does. Indeed I do. And you're going to love some more Western Swing coming up. In fact, we're about to play one from Steve Markwardt right now that follows in the same vein, more or less, with that last song called Jamboree of Western Swing. And when we come back, we're going to have Steve Markwardt on the phone with me, and we're going to visit about a great big dance coming up in Fort Worth, Texas at the Historic National Hall on Friday, August the 16th, and that's at 3016 Roberts Cutoff Road, Fort Worth, Texas. You can save money on your tickets by ordering now at Eventbrite, B-R-I-T-E, eventbrite.com. Type in Steve Markwardt, M-A-R-K-W-A-R-D-T, and then for promo code, you can save $5 versus at the door on your tickets by ordering early. The promo code is earlybird5.com. Again, that's earlybird 5. So anyway, let's hear the Jamboree of Western Swing, and when we come back, we're going to have a visit with Steve Markwardt. Enjoy.
Last night I dreamed I died and went to heaven. They were playing all my favorite songs. I saw at least 1,000 golden fiddles playing Western Swing all night long. I dreamed I saw a band of angels singing songs to our Savior and our King. There were fiddles, there were harps, mandolins, and steel guitars. The only music there was Western Swing. I even saw Bob Wills and Tommy Duncan. Watch them play and sing with angels' wings. What a way to worship God forever. A jamboree of good old Western Swing. Guitar, Leon McAuliffe playing on the steel. I looked for Milton Brown, he was nowhere to be found. I heard he was asleep at the wheel. I even saw Bob Wills and Tommy Duncan. Watched them play and sing with angels' wings. What a way to worship God forever. Jamboree of good old Western Swing.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that was Steve Markwardt, Jamboree of Western Swing, and I've got the man himself on the phone with me right now, band leader of Steve Markwardt in the A-List Band. Steve, good morning. How are you, sir?
Hey, Billy, I'm doing great. How are you?
Doing well. It's good to have you back on Swingin' Country.
Always good to be on with you, and just can't tell you how much I appreciate everything you do.
Well, go ahead. You can tell me a little.
Well, we talked about this the other day. It's so important that we keep this good music, this real, with a capital R, country music, Western swing, all this great music alive. And it's not only alive, but it's thriving. I can tell you that. And we like to think we're kind of leading the charge at my record label, Clarksville Creative Sound, with all the great artists we've got and the great music we're putting out. We're trying to do a lot of great original stuff that is tied back to the roots of where it all came from, and what inspires us is that kind of thing. And so I'm real proud of what we're doing, what we've done, what we're doing, and you ain't seen anything yet. So.
And I believe that, because I know y'all have got a lot of big things happening for sure. But right now, we really want to talk about this dance coming up, A Big Ball in Cowtown, because it's going to be a big old dance in Cowtown on Friday, August 16th.
Yeah, and that's the difference. A lot of people call these things a concert. We call it a dance because, you know, as when we visited with Vince Gill a while back, he said, when you're playing this kind of music, he said, it ain't about how many people are applauding. It's how many people are on the dance floor. That's how you can tell if they like you or not.
Exactly. It's just like whenever Bob Wills told Bill Mack, because he was out there when he did their first TV taping of a TV and radio deal they were doing at some place in Fort Worth back many years ago. Bill was going out there raising his hands, you know, encouraging the crowd to clap and this and that. Bob cornered Bill afterwards and said, "What are you doing?" He said, "Well, it's just my cue, Bob, to let folks know to clap." He said, "Son, my applause is the sound of dancing feet."
That's right. That's right. Even the people in their seats are tapping their feet and, you know, dancing in their seats. And, you know, you can't help it. You know, when I first started going to these festivals with my brother way back when, and he was taking me to these things, you know, I had, of course, familiar with Bob Wills. Grew up, you know, that Bob Wills For the Last Time album was a staple growing up. And when I was in high school, we listened to that along with some other good stuff. I started going to these festivals, and and I would be sitting there, you know, just taking it all in. And I looked down and I had this involuntary thing going on. My feet were bouncing all over the place. I'm like, well, you know, so eventually your feet get you out on the dance floor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Well, Mike did a good job on that, it seems like, because you're kind of catching the fever yourself, I see.
Well, yeah, and he's the one that dove into the history of this thing. Evidence of that is that film, The Birth and History of Western Swing, that he's continuing to work on. And we just talked this morning, as a matter of fact, and he's going down to Stanford, Texas to do a viewing of that film and take in a festival down there. But, yeah, and a lot of that rubbed off on me, and he taught me a lot about the history of Western Swing. And I realized that Western Swing was so influential in a lot of things that came after it, including, you know, Hank Williams, what he was doing, taking that swing beat and kind of, but taking it back to open chords. And so most of Hank's stuff you can certainly turn into a Western swing song. And then, of course, Hank Williams, they call him a lot. At the Rolling Stone magazine calls Hank the original rock and roll star. And so, you know, rock and roll, rockabilly. Bill Haley and the Comets, who started out as a Western swing band, did arguably the first rock and roll record ever, Rock Around the Clock. So, you know, the rest is history, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And there's so much history, and any music to continue and perpetuate, of course, must be carried on and must be, you know, new blood, you know.
Well, that's the thing, Billy. You know, when I learned enough from Mike to know that the beauty of this music and what made it so infectious when it first came out on the scene back in the early 30s, mid 30s, you know, when Milton Brown and Bob Wills got together and kind of melded together and created what we know now as Western Swing. They didn't call it that then. They were just playing music and emulating a lot of the jazz stuff coming out of New Orleans and New York, you know, Louis Armstrong and that kind of thing. But the cool thing about Western Swing, and one of the things we must not never forget, is the reason why it was so exciting and why people were drawn to it, besides the fact that it was joyous music that made people forget about the reality of the Great Depression in those days, that it was always evolving. and you know this, you're a scholar in in that music. They were picking up influences from here and there, mariachi, polka, blues, all these different genres of music were influencing this, and it was evolving, and that's what made it exciting. So every new song that would come out would have something different in it. So when we decided, hey, there's a lot of great bands that can do San Antonio Rose and Faded Love a heck of a lot better. I'm certainly not going to try to compete with Jody Nix and Jason Roberts and those guys, but I thought we can do our part by maybe writing and coming up with some new stuff and maybe throwing a few new twists in there, but staying close to the roots.
Absolutely. You keep those roots alive, and you do that with a lot of improvisation, That's another major thing about Western swing. That's one of the things that makes it so different.
Well, and I think Billy Mata is kind of doing a little bit of that. He's experimenting a little bit, and he's doing a lot of the old crooner stuff, and some of the stuff he's doing is just fresh. And, I'm a huge fan of all those guys. Billy is a man after my own heart because I started out as a crooner in a big band doing that old Sinatra stuff. And then when I heard Billy do Mac the Knife in a concert, I thought, you son of a gun, you stole that. but he didn't. He was just a step ahead of me,
There you go. Give us all a scoop on this big dance coming up on August 16th.
Yes, August 16th at the Historic National Hall in Fort Worth. And you're familiar with that place because that's where we have the Birth and History of Western Swing Festival every year. It's a great old, almost 100-year-old dance hall. I think it was opened in 1936, I believe. So, 90-something years old. So it's a great place, huge dance floor.
And a beautiful dance floor.
Beautiful dance floor. And you've covered every square inch of that. I know you're one of those that the second that Mike's Festival kicks off on Thursday to the time it closes down on Saturday night, you're out there just about on every number, which is great. But so we got a great dance floor. We put a new sound system in there, and you got to hear that last year's festival. I think the sound has gotten a lot better.
Much.
We designed that sound system specifically for that hall. We just wanted to kind of partner with those guys because I just love the ambiance of that place and the feel of it. I love the fact that it's got more than ample parking. You don't have to worry about getting a parking spot. We certainly don't charge anything for parking. There's even room for RVs on the north side of the building there, the big field where you can park an RV. There's no hookups, but you can, dry camp or whatever you call that. Anyway, there's all of that. And of course, we have a lot of those that come in for the festival in November, but it's literally 2.5 to 3 miles away from probably 5 or 6, hotels in that area, like Holiday Inn Express and La Quinta and all that. So a lot of good lodging there for those that come from out of town. And then they've got a full bar, great drink prices, full capability to sling you just about any drink you want. And then they got great food. John Durham has a barbecue pit out back. He usually puts out some great barbecue or, whatever he may be serving. So you can come and spend the whole night there and eat dinner and take in the music. And we've got, in the past, we've had quite a few people that open up and then we come on later. But I just want us I want to show off this new band. And so we're just going to launch things around 7 o'clock and we're going to play until they tell us to leave, probably. Who knows? And we got a lot of music planned. I got Carl Vaughan helped me put this new band together. Carl's a guy that's been around a long time. He had a record deal with Monument Records back in the 60s and 70s. He's had a few songs that hit the Billboard charts and, got up in the top 10 way back in those days. And
right.
Great guy, great bass player. So he's going to get up and do some songs. You never know who may drop in that we may pull up on stage, Billy. You know how those things go, right?
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. And I can assure you of one thing. From what I understand, you're pulling together one heck of a band. You want to tell us a little bit about the band?
Yeah, and I want to say, look, the A-list band I've had in the past has been kind of every concert, every time we do a show, we've had to kind of reassemble everybody because these musicians, as you know, these guys are journeymen. They have to go where the money is because they have to make a living doing that. It's not an easy way to make a living. I think most people would be amazed at how little money these guys make on these concerts on average. A lot of these guys that we've played with, the guys that we choose in this level have played with just about every major country's act you can imagine. So the guys that I've had in the past, and I've had some great musicians, the problem is getting them all together for every show. And I wanted to put a cohesive unit together that we can keep together show after show and build on something. And so that's kind of what we've done. Carl's got a group of guys that are older guys, kind of like me, you know, and a lot of those guys play every Sunday at the Cook County Cowboy Church up in Gainesville. And so I thought, well, maybe we can tag those guys, and they're not so much traveling around like a lot of these other musicians, so we're able to keep these guys together. We've been able to go up there to the church there, and they've let us go in and rehearse, and they're learning all my original stuff. And so we've got a great group of guys. And real quickly, I'll go down that list. Of course, there's Carl Vaughan on bass, and he'll be doing some of his songs as well. And we've already talked about Carl's accolades and, you know, being a pretty big star back in the 60s and 70s. Still a big star in my book. You know, he was telling me the other day he's opened shows for over 100 Grand Ole Opry members, and he, you know, toured with, I think, Pat and Debbie Boone. That's an interesting act.
Really? Really?
and then we got Bobby Hibbets on drums. You know, he's a great studio work for just about everybody. I think he played with Charlie Pride for a good while, played with T.G. Shepherd, Jerry Max Lane. Then you got Bobby Connell on piano, well-known studio musician. I'm not even sure I couldn't get to all the people he's played with. You got David Wright on steel, and he was Steel Player of the Year a while back at the Texas Steel Guitar Convention there. He's in the Steel Guitar Hall of Fame. He's played a lot with Dave Alexander, who's coming to the festival, I think, in November. Yeah, Dave Alexander is a lot of fun. You got Randy Pelfrey on guitar, and he's a retired firefighter. Yeah, I know one of the guys he's played with recently, a friend of mine that I've gotten to know pretty well, Sonny Burgess, and I don't know who else he's played with, but great guitar player. And, you know, when you're playing this Western swing, Billy, it's a little more, you know, it's a whole different category than just regular honky-tonk. It kind of narrows the playing field. You got to know those jazz chords, right?
Right.
So these guys, Randy is definitely proven more than worthy to be up there doing this stuff. And then you got Randy Elmore. A lot of people call him Snuffy, and I've known him for a long time. And he was with Mel Tillis and Red Steagall. And, you know, Randy does a lot of, he's got his Elmore fiddle camp that he does, and just about everybody that's coming up through the ranks and learning how to play fiddle, you know, if they're serious about it, they're probably going to pass through his fiddle school there. And then his wife, Valerie, she goes by Valerie Ryle, but his wife, who also has Valerie's music studio, I'm trying to remember where her place is. Anyway, she's going to play as well. We decided we needed a, you know, twin fiddle effect, so we got her up there, and so she's going to join us as well. So we got a husband and wife deal going on in the fiddle section.
Good. Well, it sounds like a terrific band.
Yeah, and like I said, you never know who may step up and join us. You know, you never know who's going to show up at these things. You know, like if our friend Mackenzie McKetty shows up, we'll probably get her up there and get her in her fiddle and take off. Or I know. Oh, and Curt Ryle, of course, is going to be with us as well. Curt is the best guitarist I know, and he's kind of my safety net, you know, in a lot of ways. So.
And your business partners.
And my business partner, yeah.
Well, folks, again, this is going to be Steve Markwardt and the A-List Band. It's going to be Friday night, August 16th. The dance will start at 7. I guess the doors will open probably, about 6?
They will open at, around 6 o'clock, and I think the food will start being served. I believe that's probably about when he'll start rolling the food out. We'll have some merchandise there, you know, CDs and things from all the different band members, including yours truly. We'll also probably have a boutique come in and have some Western accessories and maybe some, you know, for the ladies, anybody that's inclined to wear a dress, I guess.
There you go. Well, no.
Anyway, so it'll be a lot of fun. Any of y'all that have been to one of our shows and any show out at National Hall know the vibe there. It's really a great thing, and it's family friendly too, Billy. So don't hesitate to bring your kids.
Great.
There's nothing that you would cringe with, you know, having a small child there. In fact, we encourage kids to get out on that dance floor and have fun.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely.
Just don't trip up the dancers. That's all.
Right. And I agree with all of that. The location is 3016 Roberts Cutoff Road, Fort Worth, Texas. It's the Historic National Hall. Beautiful, beautiful place, as we've mentioned numerous times. Folks, you definitely want to get out there and support this. And as Steve said, bring your kids, bring your grandkids, and just have a wonderful time.
Tickets are available on Eventbrite. I don't have that link in front of me, Billy. Maybe you can give that out later. You may have that.
Let's see. It's eventbrite.com.
Yeah. And when you go, just all you got to do is punch my name in there, Steve Markwardt, 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 Steve Markwardt, and it'll pop up. And then there's a place when you go to pay, there's a place for a promo code. And for a limited time, if you punch in Early Bird 5, type in Early Bird 5, you get $5 off per ticket. So that's about a 25% discount. I'm more concerned about filling that hall than I am making a bunch of money. We just want to hopefully cover our costs and just keep this music out there and entertain folks. We just want everybody to come and have a good time. So bring your friends, bring your ma, bring your pa, and be there or be square or that kind of thing. So
one more question. You will be able to purchase tickets at the door as well, correct?
That is correct.
Okay.
That is correct.
Great,
yeah.
Great.
Yeah, so it's the last minute. If you got somebody who wants to come, bring them along. We'll figure out how to get them in. If you can't afford a ticket for some reason, let us know. We don't want that to be a deterrent, but certainly we want to have enough to pay the band. So absolutely.
Well, Steve, it's going to be a great time. And again, I thank you for coming on Swingin' Country with me. Appreciate the music that you're putting out. And as always, you know what I'm going to tell you. Keep swinging country.
Thank you, Billy. We appreciate all you do. And of course, we love Kathy Jewell as well. So hi to everybody at KSSL and appreciate it. And yep, I'll keep swinging country and you keep spinning those tunes.
Now from Steve Markwardt swinging for the bleachers, Carl Vaughan along with me and Curt Ryle sad out of Saturday night. See 'em at the Historic National Hall.